Excel formulas are relative by default. What does it mean? Let's imagine that we have net values in here and we would like to calculate a column with the VAT tax value. We have in here the VAT rate, so we can multiply the A2 cell by the E1 cell, and when we hit enter and copy down the formula, we will see that in the cell B3 both of the cells that we have selected have moved down, and this is the relativity of the formulas. They move when they are copied within the worksheet. But in our case it is necessary for us to move down in the A column, but we would like to somehow freeze the E1 cell. We could call this reference that we will set as an absolute reference, and you use a dollar symbol that you can find under Shift and 4 to block both the column as well as the row in here. When you hit enter and copy down the formulas, you will see that we move down the A column, but we still keep the E1 cell unchanged. In the second example, we will play around with F4 button, which allows you to change the modes from absolute to relative to absolute, only columns, only rows, and easily switch the rows instead of using the dollar sign. In our case, we have sales in euros and we would like to calculate the sales in Polish zloty. The abbreviation for that is PLN. And we have 3 years, and we have also the exchange rates for euro that we can use, and we can just multiply by these cells. If we start multiplying the first value by the exchange rate of this year and we start copying this formula to the right, everything will work fine. You can check it by left clicking the formula bar. We will see that we selected the year 2018, it's fine, and the exchange rate from exactly the same year. The problem appears when we would like to copy this formula down, since the exchange rates are also going down. We would like to go down to the next region, but we would like to keep the row of the exchange rate. How to solve this? The first part of the formula should be relative, which means dynamic. It should copy to the right and to the bottom, but the second part of the formula should remain in the same row, which means we should freeze the row, and now this is the place where we will use the F4 key on a keyboard. If you hit it just once, you have a fully absolute, and then when you hit F4 once again, you get a mixed combination of absolute and relative, and then once again you just freeze the column. And after you're making a circle, you go back to the relative value. So we will just freeze the second row in here and copy the formula to the right, and when we now copy the formula to the bottom of this small table, you will see that we still remember the proper year, but we went down to the current region. The second case on this worksheet is very similar, but we have the exchange rates and the years going down. So we need to multiply once again, but this time we need to freeze just the column. In this example, we will get to know also another trick with inputting the Excel formulas, which is we can select the whole range where we would like to apply a formula, and then using the formula bar we can write our formula and then hit Ctrl and Enter to apply the formula to all of the selected cells. So our formula for the first cell, please keep in mind that we are in the cell C15, is let's take the sales and multiply it by the current year. Then the exchange rates should stick always to K column, so I'm using now F4 button to freeze this column, and at the end we hit Ctrl and Enter to apply the formula to all of the rows. You can check the last formula, whether you multiply the right region, the right year, and the right exchange rate. Do you remember a multiplication table from school that you need to memorize? So let's now try to design one for your children, and you need to multiply one of the cells by the other, but when you copy the cells down, you will see that this kind of formula is not working properly. If you're seeing hash symbols within the cell formula, it probably means that you don't have enough space for that, and you will see that this kind of formula is not working in here. Why is that? Because we need to adjust the addresses in here to make them work partially absolute, which means we should always stick to a column. This means that the dollar will be in front of the cell address, and we should stick in the second argument to the first row. So the dollar should be just in front number 1. And when you hit enter and copy the formula down and to the right, you should get now the proper results. Once again, if you have a formula like this, you can just select all of the cells and hit Ctrl and enter to apply the formula to all of the cells, and this is an alternative to just inserting an enter. And the last exercise in here, we should calculate the percentage share in total and the accumulated percentage share. First, let's start with writing a formula that will calculate the sales. You can, of course, create a sum formula, but there is a shortcut both on the ribbon and on the keyboard that allows you to quickly auto sum. The shortcut for that is Alt plus equal sign, which will automatically detect your summing formula. Below you have also other options like average, count number, max, mean, that will allow you to quickly insert the formulas. I usually use Alt and equal sign shortcut and hit enter to get the result. Now we would like to calculate this amount. How much percent does it take from the total we see on bottom? So let's create a formula where we will divide the particular product sales by the total sales, but please keep in mind that we should freeze something within this exercise. So probably we need to freeze the B16 cell to remain in the same place. And now when we copy all the information down and apply the percentage formatting, you will see the percentage share in total of particular products. Now we would like to calculate the accumulated percentage share. The accumulated percentage share equals for the first product exactly the same share that we see in here, but for the second product this will be sum of the current accumulated percentage share and the percentage share for the current product in number 2. And this is how we create a formula that will sum up to 100% at the end. To end up this exercise, we could use the Pareto rule and say 4 of our 14 products account for almost 80% of our sales.